Think about a goal you have kept hidden for a long time. It stays in the back of your mind like a quiet dream. You want to start a new project or change your life, but something holds you back. You feel a heavy weight in your chest when you look at the future. This is where every journey begins, in the space between wanting and doing. Your heart beats faster when you look at the door you need to open. You might feel a cold shiver or a knot in your stomach. These physical feelings are not just in your head. They are real signals from your body. You are standing on the edge of something big, and your mind is warning you to be careful and stay exactly where you are. Silence can be very loud when we are afraid to speak our truth. We have ideas that could change our world, but we keep them to ourselves. We worry about what other people might think if we fail. So, the idea stays small and safe inside us. It never gets the chance to grow or breathe because we are too worried about the first mistake. Time moves forward whether we act or not. Days turn into months, and months turn into years. Sometimes, the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of changing. We look at the clock and realize that our greatest regret will not be the mistakes we made. Instead, it will be the things we never tried because we were waiting for the perfect moment. Everyone on this planet feels this same pressure. From the most successful leaders to the person living next door, the fear of failure is a universal human experience. It is a shadow that follows us into our work and our personal lives. You are not alone in this struggle. Understanding this common bond is the first step toward finding a new way to live. Stories like these remind us that we share a deep connection through our struggles. I would love to know where in the world you are listening from today. Please share your location in the comments. If these stories speak to your heart, consider subscribing to join our community of listeners. Your presence here makes this journey more meaningful for everyone involved in our story. The question of what if can haunt a person for a lifetime. What if I am not good enough? What if I lose everything? These questions act like heavy stones in our pockets. They make it hard to walk forward with confidence. We focus so much on the negative possibilities that we forget to look at the potential for growth and the joy of learning something new. We often build invisible walls around our lives to keep ourselves safe. These walls are made of excuses and small lies we tell ourselves. We say we are too busy or that it is not the right time. In reality, these walls are built by our fear. They protect us from the cold wind of failure, but they also block out the warm sun of success. Staying in a comfort zone feels good at first. It is warm and familiar, and nothing unexpected ever happens there. But a comfort zone can also become a cage. Inside these bars, we do not grow or change. We simply repeat the same patterns every day. We choose the safety of the known over the excitement of the unknown because we fear the possibility of falling. Safety has a very high price that we often forget to calculate. When we choose to never fail, we also choose to never truly succeed. We trade our potential for a quiet life without conflict. But deep down, we know we were meant for more. The cost of this safety is the loss of our own development and the chance to see what we are truly capable of. Fear acts like a cold shadow that follows us even on the brightest days. It whispers that we should play it safe and stay quiet. It tells us that failure is a final destination rather than a part of the road. This shadow can grow quite large if we do not face it. It can wrap around our dreams and slowly squeeze the life out of them until we stop trying. Now, we are going to look deeper into why this shadow exists. We must understand the roots of our fear before we can hope to move past it. It is time to look at the history of the human mind. By understanding our past, we can start to build a better future. Let us go back to a time when fear was a tool for survival. Human biology is a very old system living in a very modern world. Millions of years ago, fear was a necessary part of our lives. It kept us away from dangerous animals and deep water. Our brains are designed to look for threats everywhere we go. This ancient system is still active today, Even though our environment has changed completely since the time of our ancestors lived in a world where a single mistake could be fatal. If a hunter missed his target, his family might go hungry. If someone ate the wrong berry, they might die. In the wild, failure was not a lesson. It was a danger to the whole group. Because of this, our brains learn to treat every risk as a matter of life and death. Today, we face a strange problem. Our brains cannot tell the difference between a real physical danger and a simple social discomfort. When you think about failing at a new job, your body reacts as if you are being hunted by a predator. Your heart rate goes up and your palms get sweaty. This is an old reaction to a very new and different kind of stress. The modern world is full of social risks that feel like survival threats. We worry about being judged or rejected by our peers. In the past, being rejected by the tribe meant you would have to survive alone. This was a death sentence. Today, a bad presentation or a failed business is not a death sentence, but our ancient brains still react with the same level of deep terror. Consider a man sitting in a large boardroom ready to share a new idea. He knows his idea is good, but his hands are shaking. He feels his face turning red. To his brain, the people around the table are like a rival tribe judging his worth. He is afraid that if they disagree, he will lose his place in the group. This fear is a ghost from the past. A small social mistake can feel like a disaster because of this survival instinct. If we say the wrong thing, we feel a deep sense of shame. This shame is designed to keep us following the rules of the group. However, this same instinct stops us from being creative. It prevents us from taking the risks that lead to great inventions and beautiful art because we are afraid to stand out. We are living with a massive mismatch of time and evolution. Technology and society move very fast, but our biological instincts move very slowly. We are using ancient software to try and navigate a modern world. This creates a constant internal conflict. We want to grow, but our inner protector is always trying to pull us back to the safety of the cave where things are familiar. It is important to realize that fear is actually a tool. It was designed to keep you alive and safe. When you feel afraid, it means your brain is doing its job. You do not need to fight the fear or hate it. Instead, you can learn to listen to it without letting it control your actions. You can acknowledge the signal and then decide to move forward anyway. Your fear is not a flaw in your character. It is not a sign that you are weak or incapable. It is simply a very old survival mechanism that is a bit too loud for the modern world. When you understand this, you can start to treat yourself with more kindness. You can see your anxiety as a concerned friend who is simply trying to help you stay safe. Accepting this instinct is a powerful turning point. Once you know why you feel afraid, the fear loses some of its power over you. You can look at the shadow and say, "I see you, but I'm going to try this anyway." Now, let us look at the lives of those who learn this lesson and use their failures to change the course of history. Many years ago, a young man had a dream of building parts for the automotive industry. He was not a rich man, but he had a strong spirit. He worked long hours in a small, dirty workshop. His clothes were covered in oil, and his hands were always stained with grease. He believed that hard work and a clear vision would eventually lead him to a better life for himself. This young man spent all his money and time on a new engine part. He lived in his shop and slept on the floor. He believed that if he could just make this one part perfect, his future would be secure. He was not looking for a quick win. He was looking for a way to contribute something valuable to the world of machines and transportation. Finally, he finished his design and took it to a major car company. He was full of hope. He thought they would see his hard work and offer him a contract. But the engineers looked at his part and shook their heads. They told him it was not good enough. They said his work did not meet their standards. This was his first major failure, and it was crushing. The rejection was not just professional, it was personal. He had put everything into that design. For a while, it seemed like his dream was over. He went back to school to learn more, but teachers and other students often looked down on him. He was older and poorer than the others. Yet, he refused to stop. He took the feedback from the car company and started to improve his work. Just as things were starting to get better, a great war began. His factory was bombed and mostly destroyed. Later, an earthquake finished what the bombs had started. Most people would have given up at this point. It seemed as if the universe was telling him to stop trying. He stood among the ruins of his workshop, looking at the broken machines and the dust of his hard work. He decided to start again with almost nothing. He saw a need for cheap transportation in a country that was rebuilding. He took a small engine and attached it to a bicycle. This was a simple idea, but it was exactly what people needed. He used the scrap metal and leftover parts from the war to build something new. He did not let the destruction of his past stop his future. His neighbors and friends did not always understand him. They saw a man who had failed many times. They saw someone who was always working on strange machines that didn't always work. Some people whispered behind his back. They thought he was wasting his time on impossible dreams. But he did not listen to the noise around him. He focused on the mechanical problems in front of his eyes. Being laughed at is a special kind of pain. It attacks our pride and makes us want to hide. This man faced mockery for many years. His ideas were often seen as too small or too strange. However, he realized that the opinions of others did not change the quality of his engines. He knew that every time something didn't work, he was one step closer to finding the solution. There were many nights when he sat alone in the dark, wondering if he should quit. The weight of his past failures was very heavy. He felt tired and old. The path he had chosen was much harder than he had expected. He questioned his own talent and his own mind. These are the moments that define a person. Do you stop when it hurts, or do you find a way to continue? A massive internal shift happened within him. He stopped seeing failure as an enemy. He began to see it as a teacher. He realized that success is only 1% of the work, and the other 99% is what we call failure. This change in perspective changed everything. He no longer feared the mistake. He started to look for the mistake because he knew it contained the secret to the next improvement. He started treating every broken part as data. When an engine failed, he did not get angry. He took it apart to see exactly why it broke. He realized that the metal was telling him a story. It was showing him where it was weak and where it needed to be stronger. This scientific approach to failure allowed him to build machines that were better than anything else on the market. Every morning, he returned to the workshop with a fresh mind. He did not carry the weight of yesterday's problems into the new day. He treated every challenge as a puzzle to be solved. His energy began to attract other people who wanted to build great things. Together, they started a company that would eventually become famous all over the world for its quality and its spirit of innovation. Success was finally built on the ruins of his many failures. The company that rejected him years ago was now his competitor. He had created something beautiful from the scrap metal of a war. His name became a symbol of power and reliability. He proved that a person's history of mistakes is not a sign of weakness. It is the very foundation of their greatest strength and their lasting legacy. This man taught the world a very important lesson about the human spirit. He showed us that we can survive almost any disaster if we keep our vision clear. He demonstrated that the only true failure is giving up. As long as you are still trying, you are still moving forward. His story is a light for anyone who feels like they have failed too many times to succeed. His theory was simple. Greatness is like a mountain of trash. You must climb over all your mistakes and bad ideas to reach the top. If you try to avoid the trash, you will never reach the peak. The higher the mountain of failures, the higher the eventual success. We must learn to embrace the mess of the process if we want to reach the beauty of the final result. We often live our lives chasing a perfect image that does not exist. We think that if we make a mistake, we are somehow broken or less valuable. But perfection is a lie. It is a sterile and boring goal that prevents us from being human. True growth happens in the messy parts of life. It happens when things go wrong and we have to find a way to fix them. In some cultures, people have a beautiful way of looking at broken things. When a piece of pottery breaks, they do not throw it away. Instead, they fix the cracks with gold. This traditional art form is called kintsugi. It teaches us that something can be more beautiful because it was broken. The gold lines show the history of the object and make it unique and strong. Imagine your life as a piece of pottery. Every time you fail, you have a new crack. Instead of hiding these cracks, you can fill them with the gold of wisdom and experience. Your mistakes do not make you ugly, they make you interesting. They show that you have lived and that you have dared to try. The gold in your character is the result of everything you have survived. There is a deep beauty in the struggle of becoming who you are meant to be. A person who has never failed has never been tested. They are like a smooth stone that has never been touched by the river. But a person with scars and stories is like a diamond that has been shaped by pressure. The struggle is not something to avoid. It is the process that creates value and depth. Think about the famous story of the scientist who was trying to find a cure for a disease. One day, he left a dish open by mistake and a strange mold began to grow. Most people would have thrown the dish away and called it a failure. But he looked closer. He realized that the mold was killing the bacteria. This mistake led to the discovery of penicillin, which has saved millions of lives. A mistake can often be a miracle in disguise. When things do not go according to plan, we are forced to look at the world in a new way. We find solutions that we never would have considered if everything had worked perfectly the first time. The wrong turn often leads us to a much better destination. We just need to have the eyes to see the opportunity inside the error. There is immense value in the wrong turn. When we get lost, we discover new paths and new landscapes. We learn more about our surroundings than the person who always stays on the main road. Every time you make a mistake, you are gathering information that others do not have. You are becoming an expert in what does not work, which is just as important as knowing what does work. True wisdom does not come from books or quiet meditation alone. It comes from the scars we earn in the real world. You cannot learn courage without feeling fear. You cannot learn persistence without facing a wall. Every difficult moment in your past has given you a piece of knowledge that you could not have gained any other way. You are a collection of everything you have learned through your struggles. Consider your failures as tuition fees for the school of life. When a business fails or a relationship ends, it is very painful. But you have paid for a very expensive lesson. If you walk away and learn nothing, then the money and time are truly lost. But if you take the lesson with you, you have gained something that will make you much more successful in the future. It is time to change the way you talk to yourself inside your own head. Stop using words like disaster or shame when things go wrong. Start using words like learning and growth. The way we describe our experiences determines how we feel about them. If you tell yourself that a mistake is a tragedy, you will feel sad. If you call it a lesson, you will feel empowered. Look back at the moments in your life that were the most painful. At the time, they probably felt like the end of the world. But look at where you are now. Those moments likely pushed you in a new direction. They forced you to become stronger or smarter. The things that hurt us the most often provide the energy we need to make the biggest changes in our lives. Can you find gratitude for the times the world said no to you? Sometimes, a rejection is a form of protection. It keeps us from a path that was not right for us. It forces us to keep looking until we find something that truly fits our talents and our hearts. When you look back with clear eyes, you might see that your biggest failures were actually your biggest lucky breaks. The light of clarity comes when we stop fighting reality and start accepting it. When a mistake happens, it is already in the past. We cannot change it. We can only change what we do next. This acceptance brings a deep sense of peace. You no longer have to be perfect. You only have to be willing to try again with a little more wisdom than you had yesterday. Courage is not something you were born with. It is a muscle that you build over time. Every time you do something that scares you, that muscle gets a little bit stronger. You do not start by lifting the heaviest weight. You start with small things and slowly work your way up. Each small act of bravery makes the next one feel a little bit easier and more natural. Practice what we might call the controlled fall. This means taking small risks where the cost of failure is low. Try a new hobby where you know you will be bad at first. Speak up in a small group before you try to lead a large one. By failing in small ways, you teach your brain that failure is not a disaster. You prove to yourself that you can handle the discomfort. Always start small when you are trying to build a new mindset. Do not try to change your whole life in a single day. Choose one small thing that makes you nervous and do it today. Maybe it is making a phone call or asking a question. These small wins build a foundation of confidence. Over time, these small blocks will create a strong house that can withstand any storm. There is a very powerful word that can change your whole outlook on life. That word is yet. When you say, "I don't know how to do this," it sounds like a final statement. But when you say, "I don't know how to do this yet," you open a door to the future. It means that you are on a journey and that the skill is coming with time and practice. Changing your language from "I can't" to "I can't" yet removes the shame from learning. It acknowledges that you are a work in progress. It allows you to be a beginner without feeling stupid. Everyone you admire was once a beginner who couldn't do what they do now. The only difference is that they kept going until the yet turned into a reality of skill and mastery. Consider the story of a woman who decided to learn to paint in her 50s. The first few months were very difficult. Her hands were stiff and her colors were messy. She felt embarrassed when she looked at her work. She felt like she was failing at art. But she told herself she was just a beginner. She allowed herself to be bad at painting so that she could eventually become good. The first step is often the most painful part of any journey. It is the moment when we are the most vulnerable. We have no experience and no proof that we will succeed. This is when the fear is the loudest. But once you take that step, the momentum starts to help you. The second step is easier than the first, and the third is easier than the second. You just have to start. There is a special kind of grace in being bad at something. It means you are exploring new parts of yourself. It means you are curious and alive. If you are only doing things you are already good at, you are not growing. Finding joy in the process of learning, even when it is messy, is the secret to a happy and interesting life. Don't be afraid to be the worst in the room. The steady hand of practice is what eventually overcomes the shaking hand of fear. You do not need to be a genius to succeed. You only need to show up and do the work over and over again. Repetition is the mother of skill. As you repeat a task, your brain builds new connections. What felt impossible last week will feel automatic next month. Trust the process of time and effort. Resilience is a daily choice that you make every single morning. It is not a quality that some people have and others don't. It is a decision to get out of bed and try again, regardless of what happened yesterday. It is the choice to focus on what you can control rather than what you cannot. This daily commitment to moving forward is what creates a truly strong and resilient mind. How do you talk to yourself after you've had a really bad day? Do you use harsh words and call yourself names? Or do you speak to yourself like you would speak to a dear friend? A friend would tell you that it's okay to be tired. They would tell you that one mistake doesn't define you. Learn to be your own best friend and your own most supportive coach. Try a morning ritual of bravery. Before you check your phone or start your work, take a moment to set your intention. Tell yourself that you are willing to face challenges today. Remind yourself that mistakes are just part of the day's work. By preparing your mind for the possibility of failure, you take away its power to surprise and hurt you when things go wrong. Face the day with a clear intent to learn something new. When you look at your schedule, do not just think about the tasks you have to finish. Think about the obstacles you might encounter and how they can help you grow. If a meeting goes poorly, ask yourself what it taught you about communication. This proactive mindset turns every difficulty into a valuable piece of training for your future self. Standing up after a fall is a victory in itself. Sometimes the goal isn't to win the race. The goal is simply to finish. There is immense dignity in a person who is covered in dust but keeps walking. Every time you refuse to stay down, you are sending a powerful message to your own subconscious. You are telling yourself that you are a person who can handle whatever life throws at you. The shield of persistence is what protects you from the arrows of doubt. When people tell you it can't be done, or when your own mind tells you to give up, your persistence is your best defense. It doesn't mean you are stubborn or blind. It means you have a deep belief in your ability to find a way. This shield is built one day at a time, through every small act of staying the course. We have traveled a long way in this story of the human heart. We started with the heavy feeling of fear and the ancient reasons why we feel so stuck. We looked at the lives of those who turned their ruins into empires. We explored the beauty of the break and the way to build the muscle of courage. Now, we stand at the edge of a new way of seeing ourselves. The fear hasn't completely gone away, and it likely never will. But something has changed. We have grown larger than our fear. It is no longer a wall that stops us. It is just a companion on the road. We can feel the nervous energy and use it as fuel for our actions. We have learned that feeling afraid is not a reason to stop, but a sign that we are doing something that matters. Success is not a straight line to the top. It is a long, winding line of failures that finally lead to a destination. Every no you receive is just a step on the ladder. Every mistake you make is a piece of the foundation. When you look at it this way, there is no reason to be afraid. You are simply gathering the materials you need to build the life you want. The wall that once blocked your path has become a bridge to your future. You can walk across it with confidence because you built it yourself. You use the stones of your mistakes and the mortar of your persistence. You no longer see challenges as obstacles. You see them as the very path you must walk to reach your goals. The view from this bridge is clearer and more beautiful than ever. Look toward the horizon with clear and steady eyes. The world is full of opportunities for those who are not afraid to be beginners. You do not need to know the whole way before you start. You only need to see the next few steps. The fog will clear as you move forward. Trust in your ability to learn and adapt. You have already survived every difficult day you have ever faced. Your own story is waiting for you to write its next chapter. It doesn't matter what happened in the previous pages. You have the pen in your hand right now. You can choose to make the next part a story of courage and growth. You can choose to be the hero who falls down but always finds a way back up. Your life is a unique and precious work of art in progress. Take a moment to see yourself as a person of great strength. See the gold in your cracks and the wisdom in your eyes. You have a deep capacity for resilience that is part of your human heritage. You are the descendant of people who survived incredible things so that you could be here today. That same strength lives inside your cells and your spirit. Carry it with you as you go. The legacy of those who dare to fail is a world that is always getting better. Every medicine, every machine, and every piece of art came from someone who was willing to be wrong. By embracing your own mistakes, you are contributing to this great human tradition. You are showing others that it is okay to be human, and that it is beautiful to try. Your courage inspires more people than you know. Find peace with your past and all the versions of yourself that didn't quite make it. They were all doing their best with what they knew at the time. Thank them for the lessons they taught you. They are the ones who brought you to this moment of understanding. When you forgive yourself for not being perfect, you finally have the freedom to be truly great. The past is finished and the future is open. As we close this story, Remember that growth is a lifelong journey. There is no final finish line where everything is perfect. There is only the continuous process of trying, failing, learning, and growing. Go out into the world and make some beautiful mistakes. Be brave, be kind to yourself, and never stop moving forward. The path is yours, and the journey is the most important part of all.